Hi everyone. So in this recording, we'll be discussing about semantic tags in HTML, which is nothing else in order to use and understand the hierarchy of your content and how both the users as well as the machines will read the structure of your web application. So the most commonly used semantic tags what we were using till date was your heading tags. That's nothing but h1, h2, h3, so on and so forth till h6. Those all falls under semantic tags. Similarly, our p tag, which is nothing but paragraph, even that falls under our semantic. So on and so forth. Your strong, emphasize, all these things falls under semantic tags. So what's semantic? As the name semantic, in the sense the tags which are descriptive by the tag name itself are called as semantic tags. And the most common things what we'll be using in a web application to structure our web page would be our header or navigation tag, or it can be a section, article, footer, aside, date, time, figure caption, and many such different types of semantic tags. So for that, let's just go to a browser and search with semantic tags in MDN. That's nothing else than Mozilla Developer Network. So I will just go with the very first site over here. And if I start scrolling down, we can see the different types of semantic tags or the elements what we have here, such as your article, aside, details, figure caption, figure, footer, form, so on. There are many such things over here. In order to understand the structure, I would like to go with the semantic tags in the HTML where I am going to write now W3 Schools. It's one of the good site where we can see the demonstration of our semantic tags structure over here. So if we can see on the top, we have a header over here and we do have a navigation bar. We do have a section, article followed by some footer, and on the right hand side, we do have a aside over here. Correct? Header simply means the main structure of a web page. Let's speak about W3 Schools only. If we can see on the top, we do have a header over here and followed by we are having a navigation bar. That's nothing but this particular coding languages. Followed by we do have different types of sections. I can consider this as a one section, this as one section, similarly this as one section, so on, this as one section, and many different types of sections. And we do have article as well, which is nothing but which has its own heading followed by some contents. It can be a paragraph or some other tags, and it can also have certain images included over there. And at the bottom of your web application, we do have a footer over there, see, which is nothing but a common thing which will be applicable in all the web pages for this particular entire web application. That's nothing else than footer over there. Correct? So if I just go back to the structure, and on the right hand side, we do have aside. More oftenly, we do use the aside section for certain promotions. That's nothing but to do some advertisements on our web application. Correct? If we can see the same site, that's nothing but our W3 Schools over here. On the right hand side, that's nothing but the aside. We do have some promotions here, right? We do have some advertisements over here, which has nothing to deal with this particular web page, but we mainly use it for advertisement purpose. That's how we can just go and structure our entire web page. Let's go back to the previous thing what we have done over here. That's nothing but our resume page. So our resume page looks something in this particular way, right? Where we have a header on the top. We have some education details over here, work experience, followed by some project details, and followed by connect with me and some random stuffs over here, right? But now let's do one thing. We will try to incorporate the semantic tags whatever we have in this particular site over here. Again, do remember, even after incorporating those semantic tags, our site would look exactly the same way. There would be no change with respect to your site structure. The only thing, it will be easy for the users as well as it will be easy for our web application to use and go with the screen reader option. So it will try to ignore the right hand side, the advertisement part, and it will just go to the next part of our web page over here. It can be a section or it can be an article. At the same point of time, there is no hardcore rule stating we need to have the section first or we need to have the article second, nothing. We can have n number of articles within a section or vice versa over here. Okay, so let's go and try to use those particular tags in our resume.html page right now. So I'll just go back to my editor. So this is how our resume.html is looking over here, where if we can see we wrote some comments, right, stating header stats over here. So let's minimize this table and I will try to have this entire table. Okay, so we have a comments already stating header starts here and header gonna end over here. The header is nothing but this first part what we are seeing on the screen here. I will try to make it as a header. So for that, let's remove this code and I will just say we have a header tag. So let's go with header and then I will just paste that particular code over here. See, that's nothing but my table tag over here. So let's have our entire table over here. Okay, so this is what we guys have done, right? So what did we do here? I'm just wrapping the entire structure within my header tag. So I just got my entire table within our header. So if we just go back to our screen, let's go back to output, and if I just refresh, see, there is no any change on our web page, correct? But it's just for our ease to understand, indicating yes, this is entire header on our web page. Now the next part or the next semantic tag what we'll be discussing after our header. So let's go ahead here. I will try to minimize this particular one so it won't be a confusion for us over here. And if you can see, we already wrote a comment stating as main section starts over here, right? And which will gonna end somewhere over here. Let's just go ahead. And if I keep scrolling down, we have our main section ending over here. So what I will do right now, I will just wrap this entire main in a semantic tag called as main over here. We do have a tag called as main with the help of which I can wrap this entire body of the main part of a web application in a single main tag here. And do remember, you can use only one main tag in your web page so that it will go with the importance of that particular tag, indicating this is the main part or main section of your entire web page. So I will just go ahead and I will try to remove all this particular thing. That's nothing but I will try to remove this particular one from the current code editor and I will just add it within main section over there. So let's go and I will just say Control X or Command X in your Mac, and then I will just paste it within my windows here. I mean that's nothing but within my main window over here. So let's just save, and then if I just go ahead again, there is no major change. Even on refresh, it will still remain the same way. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's go back to our computer back editor where we have our main window, and within our main, if you remember, we do have different parts here, right? We do have our section followed by article. I'll come back to navigation bar. Okay, so right now we discussed about header. So let's go to section, articles, footer, and then we'll just come back to nav over here. So let's go ahead and we'll try to have different sections on our web page. So for that we can do one thing. So the top section we named it as header over here, right? So we can go ahead and we can say education as one section, work experience as one section where I'm having 3 different companies. Similarly, I can make project details as one section over here, and then we can just proceed for the footer part. So let's go and make 3 different sections over here. So for that, let's just go ahead. So if we remember, we have something called education here, right? So let's wrap this education under a section over here. We do have a section tag with the help of which we can just go and make or split our web page into different sections over here, which would be easy for us to understand with respect to the code structure or the readability wise over here. So let's just go ahead and I will just say, I will try to remove this entire table over here. Okay, so we do have these stuffs over here. So let's say Control X. I just cut this particular code and we'll just say we need a section over here. So let's say section, and then I just paste this as one section over here. So if we can see, I just got all the education under one section here. Similarly, I will just go and minimize this section, and we do have work experience here, right? So let's just go ahead and I will say I will remove entire work experience here, and let's say we need a section tag over here, and then let's wrap our entire work experience within a section here, and then let's go all the way towards top. I will minimize or collapse this entire work experience section as well. Last but not the least, we have a project details here, so I will wrap even this under a section over here. So let's say I need a one more section, and then I will just go ahead here and paste a particular code. And now if we can see, I can just go and collapse this entire code here. See, the code structure looks quite good, right? In the sense the developer can easily understand, okay, this is a header part over here, and this is what we have a main section. Within the main section, we are having 3 different sections here, one section, and this is the second section, and this is the third section, but we don't have any proper identifier, right? We are not sure what is this section for unless we go and expand this particular section here. So what we can do, we can directly write some ID so that it can be easy for us to understand what is this section and what is this section for. Similarly, what is this section for over here. So for that, I would like to go ahead here, let's say an ID, and let's expand this section, and we got to know it's for education section. So I will just say it as education over here. And let's go for the second section over here. So this would be our work experience. So I will just rename this section with the ID called as work experience. Okay, and finally we do have one thing, last one, called as a project section over here. So for that I will just go ahead, let's say ID as project over here. So now it's quite easy for us to understand, right? Indicating this section belongs to your education and this section would be for your work experience. Similarly, this section would be for your project details over here. So that's something which makes our code much clear. It's easy for the developers and the non-developers to understand what exactly is happening here with the help of those particular names, and the code readability and the code structure is well maintained in our application here. So in this way we covered about header, we covered about main tag, we do covered about section tag. Let's go and see what is the next tag we can cover over here. So we can just go to the article, what we have as the next tag over here. So we can make, so right now we just told we have these many different types of sections here, right? Work education as 1, work experience as 3, and project details as 2 here. In case of work experience, I'm having a table. We don't have any different sections over here, so we can ignore. Whereas in case of work experience, we are having 3 different companies, right? One with respect to Oracle, second one with respect to Devton Limited, third with respect to Infosys Limited. So what we can do, I can split this entire section called as work experience into 3 different articles. I can make this entire into one article. Similarly, this one as a second article and this one as a third article over here. So we can directly go and we can say we do have 3 different types of articles over here. So let's just go to editor and let's go within work experience here. And then let's say the very first thing what we have with respect to our Oracle Limited here, right? So the very first company, I will just go ahead here and I will say this entire stuff. Okay, so let's just go ahead here and this entire thing. So we do have these many number of words here. So I will just remove this entire li and we can just say we do have the very first one called as article over here, right? So let's just go and I will just say this entire stuff as a single article over here. So let's go ahead here and I will just say this is an article tag. So I will just hit on article and I will make the entire Oracle to fall under one article over here. So let's just see once again. So I just wrote immediately after li, I'm writing article over here. So before we start the next li, I need to go ahead and I need to just say article over here. So let's collapse this thing and it's ending at line 106. So I need to write it on the prior of 106 over here. Okay, so this is how we can directly go and write article over here. So that's nothing but if I just save the code and if I just minimize this article, see we have one article with respect to first company. Similarly, I can have the same thing for the second one as well. So I can directly go ahead here and let's say article and let's remove the ending tag over here and let's write it over here. Okay, let's just say this is the second article and I can minimize the second article as well. So let's close this thing or collapse this one. So on, we do have the third article over here for the first company. So let's go and say article and let's remove the closing tag over here and let's go ahead. We do have our li over here. So let's see where exactly it's ending. It's ending at 174 line. So prior to that, okay, so let's just go ahead here and we can paste our article. So now if I just go ahead and we can minimize this article as well. See, I'm having a single section called as a work experience over here. Within that I'm having 3 different articles, first, second, third. Similarly, we can write the IDs for this one as well. So let's say the ID as the company name here. The very first article would be your Oracle over here. So let's say ID as Oracle. So on, we have the second one called as Devton over here. So let's say the ID as Devton. Last but not the least article where we have ID as Infosys over here. So that's how I can directly go and have 3 different types of articles within a section. Again, we don't have any hardcore rule to have only 1 or 2 or 3. You can have n number of such articles within a work experience. Same thing we can incorporate for any other different things as well. It can be your education section or it can be your projects as well. Right now in case of education, we don't have any different articles here. We are having only a single structure. So I just split it in our work experience into 3 different sections. Same thing you can do for your project as well. Okay, so what we can do, we can directly go and say this section called project is having 2 different articles, one for Zomato clone and the second one would be for your Book My Show clone project over here. So how is that possible? So let's just go ahead and let's collapse this work experience section over here, and I'm expanding the project section. So let's go ahead and we can see we do have two different types of projects here, right? So the very first project is with respect to Zomato clones. I just go ahead here and I just say it as article. So let's wrap the entire first li, that's nothing but which is ending at 203. So let's just go ahead here and I will just say this will be our first article. So let's minimize the first article over here, and I will just go with the second one where we have the second article as nothing else than our book my show project, right? So I will just say article again here, and let's wrap this project as well. So for that, let's say it's ending at 233, so let's close it prior to 233. So I will just go ahead here and let's paste our closing tag. So now I can just go ahead and I can minimize these articles as well. See, we have a project section. Within that, we are having two different articles. I can just say the first article with an ID called as Zomato, since it's a Zomato landing page. And the second ID would be a book my show. So I'll just say it as book my show clone. Okay, so now if we can see, the code structure will be very great over here. The very first thing, we have a header, and secondly we are having a main section over here, and we have the footer. Within the main section we are having three different sections. The first section for education, second section for our work experience, and third for our project section over here. And again, if we just go within the work experience, we're having three different articles, where the first work experience article is Oracle, second with respect to Devton, third with respect to Infosys. We can just go and elaborate any one of those things. Similarly, we do have the project structure over here, where we are having two different articles, one for Zomato and one for book my show clone over here. And if we just go back and if I start to reload my application, even on start or reload of my application, it will still remain the same. So adding semantic tags to a web page will not change anything with respect to the UI level, but when it comes to the readability, it makes more sense over there. Okay, that's the one thing what we'll be doing over here. Let's try to go and get the next semantic tag what we need to cover here. Let's say I will go with the footer part of the semantic tag here. So if we can see, we have a footer tag. So let's try to add footer for this particular section. So for that, let's just go ahead here. And if you can see, we have connect with me here, right? So I will just add this entire things into footer. Let's ignore this paragraph. It's a lengthy one. I can try to delete this thing for the next part over here. But right now I will just say, and this entire stuff should be my footer over here. So for that, let's remove all of this thing, and we do have a tag called as footer, and I can directly go and have all these things within the footer here. Again, you can write an ID, which makes no sense over here, but still we can use this ID for the navigation bar. Okay, what's that navigation? We'll understand it. So let's say this is a footer. And then if we can see, our code looks much pretty over here. So let's close the entire thing. See, we do have a header. This is our HTML page. We do have a header over here. We do have a main section. Within main, we are having three different sections, and within sections, we are having different articles over here. And then we do have a footer part where we have some connect with me and other vagara stuff over here. So now let's go, and if I just go back, even now our application remains same. Let's try to add a navigation bar. So we are remaining with a navigation bar over here. Let's try to add a navigation bar. So let's say we do already have an option called connect with me in the header. When I click on this thing, it will directly take me to connect with me. But now let's say I want to take 4 more points over here. Let's add some good navigation bar. We already have one with connect with me, but let's try to add some more things here. So let's go within our header, and if you see, we already have a anchor tag with respect to connect with me here. Let's have a few more things. Let's say I want to have, let's say another 3 more tags. Let's say anchor into 3 things. I want it for 3 times. Let's split all these things, and now I will just say the very first one would be with respect to first section, where we have the first section as education over here. So I already have an ID called education. So in order to call that, I can just use hashtag followed by education. Do remember, you need to write the hashtag. It's a mandatory one, followed by the ID name. That's nothing else than education over here. Let's say in order to know more about your education, you can click on this particular anchor. And similarly, the second one would be with respect to work experience. So let's say I will just copy this ID here. Let's say hashtag followed by the ID name. Let's say work over here. So on, we do have project over here. So let's say project. Let's say hashtag, I will just say project. And then let's just go ahead here. Let's call it as project over here. We already have connect with me. It's taking for an ID called this particular h2, but right now I can directly call the footer only. Okay, not connect with me, I can even call footer. So let's say hashtag footer. And now if I just go back, let's just go back to our site, and if I just reload, we can say we got education, work experience, connect with me, all these particular things, right? But it's not making good sense over here. So rather than directly using an anchor tags, what we can do over here, we can use an unordered list over here. So let's say unordered list, and I want list items. Let's say we have 4 things, so I just say I want it for 4 different times. And then that's nothing but I'm doing with the emit abbreviation. Let's paste all of those things here. Okay, so let's paste all of those things. So I can do one thing. Let's paste it over here, and let's try to add one by one. Okay, so let's add the first anchor within the first li over here. Same thing, the second anchor within the second list item, and I will just remove this third anchor tag over here, and I will add it within the third one, and for the fourth one I'll remove it over here, and I will just add it over here. And let's save our page. And then if I just go back to our output, so it looks quite good right now. And now if I click on education here, see, it will directly take me to the education. That's nothing but it's exactly working like a navigation bar for us. If I click on work, it will take me to the work experience. Pretty good. If I click on project, it will take me to the project section. Similarly, if we click on connect with me, it will take us to connect with me. That's nothing but the footer part of a web page here. Similarly, we can add one more button which will take us to the top of the application. So we have about us here, right? It will just go to about us, correct? If I click on this about us, it will take us to an about us page over here. So let's just go ahead, and if we see, if we have an about us in the footer part over here, so where we are having this particular structure, right? Let's not write all of this thing. I will just go with the relative part over here, where we are having an about us on the same folder structure where we are having our resume over here. So let's save, and then I will just go ahead here, and let's just go all the way towards bottom. Let me refresh once, and then if I click on about us, it should load about us over, right? We have some dummy page with respect to about us. Similarly, we'll say we need one more option or one more button. When I click on that particular button, I want it us to take for the top section. Let's say I want it to take us for the top section over here. How is it possible? So for that, let's just go ahead and let's add one more button over here. I mean, one more anchor tag over here. So let's go to editor, and let's go within the footer, and let's say we need one more anchor over here. So let's say I need one more anchor tag, and I will just write it as a hash. Okay, hash indicates it will just reload the same page or the same web application, and it will go all the way towards top of your application. Let's say back to top page, back to top. So now if we save this particular one, and if we start going back to our output over here, that's nothing but web page. And if we click on back to top, see, it's taking on the top of the screen. And if we can see on the URL, that's nothing but on the link, we also got hash appended over here. That's the beauty, the way how we can just go and add our different types of semantic tags here. We do have one more thing called as aside. So it does not mean the moment you write certain contents within an aside tag, it will take us to the side of your screen page. No, you still need to add your CSS over there. So you can just go ahead here, and let's say within the main section, I want to have one more aside over here. So I can just go ahead and we can just say aside, and you can wrap any such contents what you want to get it on the side of your screen. But it does not guarantee you that it will take your contents to the right of your screen or to the left of your screen. No, we still need to add certain CSS to indentate that particular code on the right hand side, on the left hand side, or top or bottom, or wherever we need to have those particular styles. So that's how we can just go and have different types of semantic tags in our HTML. And again, what is the use of semantic tags? It will be good for accessibility. That's nothing but our UI won't change any things or any ways over here. Whereas when it comes to the readability wise, see, our code looks pretty good here, right? We have a header, we have a main section. Within that we have different types of sections. Again, within sections we have different articles over here, and so on. We do have a footer, aside, and many other things over here. So which makes the accessibility quite good in the sense, let's say if we have some issue in this section, we can directly jump into that particular section and we can try to fix that particular issue over there. It will be good for search engine optimization as well, so that it easily recognizes which section under which particular article or something. And even the maintainability of the code looks good, and the readability wise also it looks pretty good over here. That's the reason why we go and add semantic tags in our HTML over here. So that's it for this particular recording. So thank you all. Thank you for watching.